Governor of college football, snapback on check. Got a little black long sleeve on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. I'm going to give you all a heads up right now. I'm going to be super animated today. Got a lot to talk about this weekend. Our CFB Nation group chat was so active this weekend. We got to talk a lot about the sport, and so much happened within the last, I would say 72 hours, but I didn't go live on Friday, so it's been 96 hours since I've been able to talk to you all about good old college football. So we have copious amounts of ball to talk about, and like I said, so much went down. Let's go ahead and talk about what's on today's docket for our Into the News. It's Monday, so we're going to recap the 6 games that caught my eye from this past weekend. Furthermore, there's 2 additional games we're going to do full-fledged breakdowns for, so we're going to talk about that. Those 2 games, Georgia versus Tennessee, thoroughly enjoyed that game. I do have quite a few takes about that game that'll probably be a little bit different from everybody else's, just things that I saw, just a little nuances that stood out to me. I was idle this week, so it was really good being idle this week. I didn't go anywhere, so I was able to see a lot more games. I was able to help Moon with the website, thecfbnation.com. Make sure you guys check that out. We're also going to talk about this Texas A&M versus Notre Dame game, and I know a lot was said about this game, like the poor officiating. I do believe that the officiating was bad this game, but I've always said this is the sport of no moral victories, and you can't rely on the refs to win or lose you a game. You got to take a game and don't even leave it in the ref hands. That's something that I've always said. So other games we're going to briefly talk about in our Into the News segment. It's just 2 games I'm going to talk about in great detail. That's the Tennessee-Georgia game, as well as Texas A&M Notre Dame. Vandy, we're going to talk about the Vandy South Carolina game, and I got some thoughts about that. I got quite a few thoughts about that. Houston versus Colorado, I got quite a few thoughts about that. I don't think I've said them publicly. I might have retweeted and said something publicly, but you all haven't heard it. The Backyard Brawl, that game really took me out. I went 5-3 in the S-Pop Pick'em League that I'm in with a whole bunch of other college football media personalities and or creators. I believe that 5-3 has me leading this week. I was tied for first last week. I should be leading after this week. New Mexico stomped UCLA this past weekend. We'll talk about that, and also the ripple effect from it. Same thing with Old Dominion and Virginia Tech. We'll talk about that, and we'll also talk about the ripple effect of that as well. And then we're going to talk about Georgia and Clemson. These are games we're not talking about in great detail, just kind of into the news style, quick recaps, things that crossed my mind and thinking about it. Also, we're going to talk about, I already told you about the Georgia-Tennessee game. We're going to talk about Texas A&M, Notre Dame as well. And then we're doing Hold This L. I didn't even do Hold This L last week, and I didn't realize it till I was talking to Moon a few days ago. He said, I know you can't wait for Hold This L. It's upcoming Monday. I said, yeah, I can't wait. And I thought about it. I was like, I don't think I did it last Monday. So this segment of Hold This L is going to be crazy. I'm going at a lot of people and a lot of teams in this one. And I think everybody's going to be holding the L this week. And then we'll give our AP Top 25 poll reactions. And it'll be pretty interesting. That's all I got to say. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two
CJ
great
on
defensive
the
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the It is Monday, September 15th, and I have a question for you guys, because, you know, the quarter mark of the season is coming up, week 4, but for some teams, they have reached their quarter mark already. One of those teams being Iowa State, and I believe Kansas State is the other team that has reached their quarter mark, and I may be missing a team or two, but after these, you know, first few weeks of the season, whether you consider 3 weeks or, 4 weeks of the season, how are you feeling about college football so far this season? I think the last 2 seasons have been some of the most off-chalk seasons that we've had. Things that you thought you knew heading into the season, you find out you really didn't know. And I've had some takes that I whiffed on. But so does everybody have takes that they're whiff on if you're live often enough. If you go live 5 days a week, you're gonna whiff on some takes. You go live 3 days a week, you're gonna whiff on some takes. Or even if you go live twice a week, but you're doing an hour and a half, 2 hours shows, you're gonna whiff on some takes. That's a part about it. You own it when you whiff on some takes. One of the takes that I whiffed on, I'll name you 2 right now. Tennessee and how good of a team they are. I didn't think they'll be that talented this year. I was wrong. I was really wrong. worried about that defense even more after that game. We'll talk about that game in a little bit more great detail, but I'm certainly wrong. UCLA, I completely whiffed on that. And it's frustrating because Deshaun Foster gets fired, but then what happens to everybody else? And I thought that they mentioned this and did a great job of mentioning it on Any Given Saturday, SEC football documentary on Netflix. Also, we had a fight this weekend, man. Canelo versus Bud Crawford. That was a daggone good fight. It's crazy that, still Bud Crawford's biggest purse, but it's crazy that, Canelo got 100 more million than him. But it was just such a great weekend of sports. And then, if you watch NFL was on yesterday. I kind of watched the Jets game, but I also prepared my segment for today in the midst of watching that. And then after that, I was supposed to watch the Vikings and Falcons game just because, I want to see J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix. They're kind of freshly removed from the college football landscape. So, I just wanted to see that, but I fell asleep on it. And I was up moving around early this morning. But I'd like to talk about Vandy stunned South Carolina and Columbia 31-7. And I got quite a few thoughts about this. I think about Diego Pavia and how much talking he did, prior to the season starting. And he's starting to back his words up. I always tell people he reminds me of Rocky. He's the Rocky Balboa of college football. I look at it, and I say he's the Rocky Balboa for a myriad of reasons. He takes everything so personally. He truly embraces that underdog role. Like, didn't nobody want me coming out of high school? I'm about 5'10" on a good day, maybe 5'9". I'm undersized. I don't have a great arm, but he just plays the position with all of his heart. And I know there's a lot of people who felt the way about Lenore Sellers, and it definitely should have been a flag. Did it impact this game? Absolutely. Seeing people using that as their thesis for why South Carolina is still a top 25 team is a horrible thesis. There is no supporting information that suggests that South Carolina is a top 25 team. Have you guys not been paying attention? Do you guys listen to music or do you just skim through it? I've used that quote before and I'll continuously use that quote. That's from Sean Corey Carter, JC, as you guys would know him as. But do you guys listen to music or do you just skim through it? Do you watch college football or do you just skip through it? That's the question. When I say that, that's the question that I'm asking. Do you guys truly watch college football? Because if you watch college football, you would have saw week 1 versus Virginia Tech. And we saw Virginia Tech get smacked consecutive weeks. Vandy, hands and feet on Virginia Tech. Old Dominion, the kids from Richmond put hands and feet on Virginia Tech this past weekend, and South Carolina struggled with Virginia Tech. South Carolina, in my estimation, in my opinion, also struggled with South Carolina State. And not saying that South Carolina State, yes, they're a better HBCU team, but come on, let's get serious, bro. It is levels to this. So there is no reason South Carolina should be in anybody's top 25. That's a message to everyone. I don't care how you feel about their program. I don't care that you say, well, they're in the SEC. I don't care if you believe that they played a tougher schedule. They played Virginia Tech and South Carolina State. Weren't superly impressive then, and they damn sure got that you-know-what's kicked this past Saturday. I don't want to hear it. Clark Lee is doing an outstanding job. Vandy is 3-0. They said they're the team to beat in Tennessee this upcoming year, and they truly believe they're a college football playoff team. That remains to be seen. But we got to start putting some respect on Vandy's name. Houston beats Colorado 36-20. So before this game, we had a discussion, our CFB Nation chat. Like, that's like the headquarters of like 1%er discussion, right? And maybe at some point we'll allow fans to be a part of this. I don't know if we'll do it via Discord or just have like a chat where we can talk with fans at some point. That'll be interesting, but to me, that's the 1%er headquarters. I always talk about you guys who watch this show, because y'all don't only watch this in season where everybody else is watching, but in the off season, we don't celebrate that here at CFB Nation, but in the off season, when kind of a lot of people disappear, you guys know that you can count on us. We're going to be there. Nino does an outstanding job running our Twitter account. He's going to keep you updated on all of the news, and I'm going to still be going live 4 or 5 times a week during the off season. It is what it is. But the 1%er headquarters is CFB Nation group chat, and you get a lot of funny commentary. Commentary, of course, we're not allowed per se to say aloud, but some of it is pure comedy. So in our 1%er headquarters, CFB Nation's group chat that we have on Twitter, we were talking about Houston, and we were talking about Colorado, and we were talking about Staub getting his first start. We was talking about, what does that say about Juju Lewis, and what happened to Caden Salter? Because I got to see Caden Salter probably over the last 2 years at least 7 or 8 times, if not more, because I have a season credential to Liberty. I'm season credential there, And we're just trying to figure out what's going on. But immediately when I saw that they were starting Ryan Staub for how well he played in mop-up duty, it triggered me as a Buffalo Bill fan. It triggered me because I thought about Rob Johnson and Thug Flutie, and I think about the Music City Miracle, and I always think about, and I still can't watch their play. There's a commercial with Kevin Hart and LeBron James that mentions the Music City Miracle, and I'm triggered. I'm irritated off the jump. And I immediately say Michael Jordan is way better than you, LeBron. Like that, I'm triggered. It is what it is. But I'm triggered because a lot of people remember, Frank Wycheck catching the ball, throwing it back to a lateral that I don't, till this day, don't believe it was a lateral to Kevin Dyson. Kevin Dyson returns it. I say, well, if Wade Phillips didn't have the bright idea to start Rob Johnson because of how he played when he rested the starters. Rob Johnson played phenomenally when he rested the starters. If Doug Flutie was our starting quarterback, I truly do believe we'd have played the Rams in the Super Bowl that year. Would we have beaten the Rams? Probably not. But I truly do believe that. It triggered me there. Also triggered me with another brilliant coach. I really do think Sean McDermott and Wade Phillips are both brilliant coaches. Just bad decisions that I like to call brilliant just to be an a-hole. You guys already know where I'm going here. Another moment. Tyrod Taylor is playing well, but skittish. Too many skittish moments. I agree. We don't go to the playoffs in, 2017 when we finally ended that run. But there was a time period during the season when Sean McDermott had the bright idea, well, Tyrod Taylor's playing too skittish. Let's put Nathan Peterman in. And then he proceeds to throw, 5 interceptions versus I believe they were San Diego Chargers at that time. So those were the two moments I instantly thought of. I said it inside of our chat. I wish I had brought receipts, but, the 1%er headquarters, I can't be showing receipts from the 1%er headquarters. But I said inside our chat, anybody in there will back me up, that this remind me of those situations. And the game went exactly how we thought it would. Houston, extremely physical, was physical at the point of attack. Connor Wegman looked phenomenal that game. But it's bad coaching. You're coaching emotionally because hey, in this game, we like to call college football, there's no moral victories, and every game matters at the collegiate level. So you're like, we got one loss. Well, let's go ahead and play Houston, who hasn't been, really that good over the last couple of seasons. They do got Willie Fritz, by the way, and they do got Connor Wegman, by the way. They got some pieces down there in Houston. We talked to a lot of their players at Big 12 Media Days. Definitely enjoyed my conversations with their wide receiver Johnson, who had a couple big plays. And then also they got the kid McCutcheon, who was on Friday Night Tykes. So they got some players. They got some ball players on that team. And it's just frustrating because I felt like they was like, okay, we'll get started a tune-up game before, because that was just supposed to be a victory for Colorado. I think that's why Deion was so stunned in the post-game conference. And, you guys made an emotional decision, bro. If you guys decided after spring camp, after fall camp, Caden Salter was your guy, you stick with him. Right? I do believe you guys asked him to be somebody he isn't. You expect him to be an super accurate quarterback. He's not going to be that. He's not going to have the completion percentage that Shedeur Sanders is going to, had at the collegiate level. He's just not saying that he isn't accurate. He does have the capabilities to be accurate. We seen it out in Lynchburg when he was at Liberty. But what I am saying is you can't expect that man to be Shedeur Sanders because that's not him. And that's not going to happen. Backyard Brawl, man. What a game. What a scene in Morgantown. And shout out to Pat McAfee. I think there was like 3 games Pat McAfee was dolo on. I think he was correct all 3 games, the games he was dolo on. So shout out to him. He stuck with his Mountaineers. I believe Rich Rod had did 5 quarterbacks play in that game? I think that's what I heard. That 5 quarterbacks playing in the game. So the fact that they won, they did win in overtime. Shout out to them. That's a huge win. In the Backyard Brawl, it's just better. Backyard Brawl makes the sport better. I remember when it first came back, I want to say it was 2022. After it had about maybe a decade or so of a hiatus. Maybe not quite a decade, maybe almost a decade that it had its hiatus. So Pitt lost, and it was just one of those classic Rich Rod games. You know that the running back Jaheim White is out for the rest of the season. There's no way that they win this game. And yes, Rich Rod comes up, with the way to win this game. So let's talk about New Mexico and UCLA. Alrighty, so we saw, their past 2 games, they just haven't looked good. UCLA just hasn't looked good at all. So he's like, alrighty, so New Mexico, they should handle business versus them. Maybe they can get this thing going in the right direction. Offensive has looked atrocious. Running game has looked atrocious. Nico at spots has looked decent, but, in other spots he hasn't looked that great. So you're just trying to figure out what's going on with the program. And as I've thought about it, and then for those of y'all who don't know, Deshaun Foster was relieved from his duties. Something's not right with that program. It's just not right. Like, the athletics department, something isn't right with the athletics department at UCLA. The money isn't quite funneled correctly. We've seen that they've had financial issues in the past, and you think with the schools with such a rich history, and at the collegiate level, especially with what they was able to do with college football, they've had such, a rich history. College basketball. They have such a rich history with college basketball. But the fact that they're struggling to get recruits, it seems like they're not willing to spend money. Their fans don't want to watch the games. And obviously, there's so much to compete with LA. You got women, you got weed, and you got weather, as the Kendrick Lamar song would say. But you seen a drone shot of the stadium. There's nobody in there. Like, everybody could have moved up and had front row seats. What's somebody gonna say to them, yo? Oh, you're in somebody's seat. Well, clearly I'm not. So leave me alone and let me watch the game. But I think there's a culture issue, and not in the culture issue in the same way as we say, oh, well, we believe that Georgia has a culture issue, even though their culture is winning 100%. But in the offseason, the players in Athens seem to find their way to trouble here, every now and then. More than and now, or more now than then, however you want to, word that. But I look at UCLA, I say they have a culture problem. And you saw Eric Bieniemy was their offensive coordinator a season ago. Didn't work out. Tino Sinceri, who I admire, great offensive coordinator in my estimation. We even saw Indiana start off slow this year. They were able to put up points the last 2 weeks. So I think their offensive coordinator, Coach Shanahan, is really figuring that out. But something's not right. And then when a coach get fired, What Jay-Z say? Nobody wins when the family feuds. I think everybody pretty much is either coaching for their job. So I'm not sure if they made a move on who's going to be the associate head coach. Somebody probably will get an opportunity to either audition for UCLA and continue throughout the season. It's so early in the season, so if that's what happened, let's say they named Tino Sinceri the head coach, then he gets was in essence a 10-game opportunity to show that he could be the head coach. And for UCLA's sake, they would want him to be decent so they can keep him and not go out and get somebody. They need to go get a culture builder. They need to go get somebody that can change the culture around there. And they need to open up the purse. Somebody's spending the money. Somebody has to be spending the money. Where is the money at, UCLA? Because you're not using it in a portal much, right? So we need to find a way to get players who want to play for UCLA. Because, when you look at it, and we can look at it like we would look at college football 26, what is the reason you want to come to our university? Do you want to, come here because of pro potential? Do you want to come here because we have a strong conference in some of the games we play? Do you want to come here because you grew up in a cold weather climate and you want to play in a warm weather climate? Do you want to come here because you're going to get an outstanding education, and get that for free? What are the reasons you want to come to this university? They need to go get somebody who's going to want to come there, because I don't think there's a name big enough that'll want to come there and want to say, hey, and build this program. I think they'll have to get somebody, and I don't know if they'll be able to get them, like Coach Summerall from Tulane, what he's doing right now. But he's going to ask for quite a few things. Hey, if I'm coming here, I'm bringing some of my players with me. You need to pay those players, and we're going to have to go get more players because you guys have had the inability to recruit great these last few seasons. So you guys got to go get a program builder. You have to go get a program builder, somebody that's going to build that culture. And they may need to just clean house. Get you a new AD, figure out what the heck is going on with the money, get you a GM, figure out what the heck is going on with the money, and make UCLA relevant again. Seeing what looked like 300 people at your game this past weekend, it's an embarrassment. And the fact that you guys got embarrassed at home like that, and now we got a 30-day transfer portal window that's open, and there's no telling what happens with that. It's just an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to your university. It's an embarrassment to the schools in the conference. Doesn't make the conference look good. Because for every, fan who talks about how great the SEC is, and he's like, well, look, the SEC is struggling. Let's say you're a Big Ten fan. The SEC struggling. Dog, y'all got UCLA in your conference. What you going to say? Because back in the day, you can say Vandy, but Vandy is good, right? So what is your rebuttal to that? So not only are you making yourselves look bad, you're making your member schools of the illustrious Big Ten conference look bad as well. So you guys need to go get a program builder. You guys need to open up the wallet. And there needs to be some serious investigations to see what's going on with UCLA. There really does need to be some serious investigations. I will clean house. New AD, new general manager, somebody who really cares about the program. And don't try to go get a coach on the cheap. Go spend that money, get a coach who really, who cares about winning and will build the right culture there, inside out. Brent Pry also fired after the embarrassment that this program had to Old Dominion this past weekend, and it's heartbreaking. It really is, man. Virginia Tech. I'm in the DMV, and a lot of us in the DMV were huge fans of Michael Vick growing up. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where a lot of our first love from Virginia Tech, and of course that moved on. They've had Tyrod Taylor. They had Marcus Vick. Also had a kid by the name, he played tight end in the NFL, I believe it's Logan Thomas. They've had some, pretty decent guys that come through the years, and I think they got a really, well, at least what I thought was a good quarterback now. And it's heartbreaking to watch what happened at Virginia Tech, to see a team, from the G5 level coming to your home. Team's supposed to be little bruh, and they put hands and feet on you. That's a problem, and I tweeted it out this past weekend. I said, unfortunately, a guy that I'm a huge fan of is probably going to lose his job after this. And the next day, and because I'm a part of Virginia Tech media, I got an email. I think they sent the email out before they even announced it publicly that he was being fired. So does it come by a surprise? Absolutely not. It doesn't. Georgia Tech upsetting Clemson. I watched that game. Garrett Riley, Dabo Swinney, Cade Klubnik, what's going on? Talk to me. I know your defense is sick of it. I know they have to be sick of it. Like, what's going on? Like, this is looking like 2022 Clemson offense. After you guys decided that DJU was going to be the guy, y'all going to give Cade more opportunities. This is what it looks like. It doesn't look nothing like we saw last year. And somebody said it. I forgot who said it this week. Again, it's like the teams in ACC don't even fear Clemson anymore. Are we playing them? They overrated. Heartbreaking to see. Very heartbreaking to see, to say the least. It is. I don't know how this is fixed. I do vote for the CFB Nation Top 25 poll. They will not be in my top 25. Even if they just haven't played well. They haven't played well at all. And could have lost the Troy game. Should have lost the Troy game. Should have beat LSU. But they didn't. And then this game versus Georgia Tech, your offense can't continue to sputter this much. Go through and out, the self-inflicted wounds. You just get tired of seeing it. But let's go ahead and move on to the next segment, Governor Reacts. I think you guys go like this one. Alrighty, so we're going to react to the games we seen this past weekend, two of them, and, more specifically, we're going to talk about this Georgia-Tennessee game, and then we're also going to talk about the Texas A&M and Notre Dame game. And this Georgia-Tennessee game, I didn't know what to expect from either team, heading into this week. Heading into this week, I said, well, this will be Gunnar Stockton's true first road start in SEC. He'll figure out what it's like. The crowd was absolutely electric. And then could Alex, I said, I'm going to go back to 2022. Could Joey Hazel and Josh Heupel scheme up a better first 15 plays? Because we saw Aguilar start off this game scorching. I'm like, I did not expect this. I was literally in our group chat saying, what's going on here? Did we all just have a bad read on Aguilar? Because, like I said, he had moments in Boone. I don't want to say he didn't have moments. 2023, he certainly had moments. And I was so high on them coming into the 2024 season. If you go on, our Instagram at CFB Nation HQ, you can find out videos where I am talking Joey Aguilar up. Saying, hey, they got an opportunity to be that G5 team headed to this year. And then last year was a disaster in Boone. It was so bad. So didn't know how he'd fit in this system because it's a nuanced system, and that nuanced system is the veer and shoot system. And he started out scorching. They made Georgia defense look pedestrian. 14 of 14 is crazy. It's very crazy. But let's talk about this 44-41 game, overtime game, of course. And like I said, I got a lot of thoughts about this game. There's some I really want to hit on. Some I'll pull up my notes, even though I haven't really used them much at all for this episode. I don't really use them much at all. It's just so I don't go on tangents. You guys know I like to go on tangents. But Neyland Stadium, bro, what was it, over 101,000 in that piece, man. And I think a lot of people had their cigars ready. They had their cigars ready. And from the jump, I'm like, there's no way Gunnar Stockton and UGA is going to be able to keep up with this output. That was my initial thought, because I'm like, they're scoring so many points in bunches. And the kid, Brazzell, just couldn't be guarded. He was looking like Jalen Hyatt, circa 2022. He looked that unstoppable. He just made play after play after play. And Joey Aguilar finished with, 371 yards, 5 total TDs, opened up the game 14 of 14. First SEC quarterback to do that in almost 20 years. That's crazy. I talked about Chris Brazzell. 3 touchdowns is crazy. It's crazy. He just dominant, man. And to be able to score like that on the first 3 drives, I said it's no way that Mike Bobo, Gunnar Stockton, and company could keep up with that output. And like I said, the crowd was electric. It was the game that we expected. It was the showdown. A lot of people say, hey, this game is going to be a really good game. And a lot of the bets was favoring Tennessee. They're like, yeah, Tennessee's finally going to get that monkey off their back. But I do have a few thoughts about this game. And some of them, I think, are going to really hit home. Gunnar Stockton, is he better than advertised? Can we say that? Is Gunnar Stockton better than advertised? Because a lot of us, our concern was, alrighty, best wide receiver room they had in a little while. I think we saw that on display this past weekend. But this kid, Gunnar Stockton, what will we get from him? Right? Like, yes, it's easy to pretend to be the guy. And we know that Georgia has kind of done it. You're like, when is the last time they had like a stud, you know? I'm talking about a guy like from jump that you already knew was going to be the guy. Like, because, you know, you think about Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett was an afterthought. You know, Gunnar Stockton, I don't want to call him an afterthought, but yeah, of course they had Carson Beck, but even Carson Beck had to earn his keep after what Stetson Bennett and them was able to do there. So, I don't know. Like, coming into this game, I'm like, if it's a low-scoring game, I favor Georgia. I didn't expect it to be a high-scoring game at all, so coming into the game, I just favored Georgia because I just thought it would be a low-scoring game, but it was the exact opposite. Fireworks. This looked like a Big 12 game. We saw Big 12 ball in the SEC this past week, and Gunnar Stockton played phenomenally. That 4th and 6 touchdown that he threw, that fade, that was a beautiful throw. Great catch as well. You even see Josh Pate. Somebody, I think a fan got a shot at his face on that catch. But just an amazing play. There was a few times in this game that I thought that Tennessee had opportunity to really. All right, let's take care of this. There was a moment. It was right after a turnover. And Tennessee had gotten the ball, and they played extremely conservative. They played so conservative. They settled for the 3 to go up by 8. But typically after a turnover, what do teams normally do? Immediately after a turnover, emotion is high. That's the opportunity to really kick them while they down, right? Teams normally call a shot play. That did not happen. It was like they settled. They protected the ball like playing not to lose. And I hate when teams play not to lose, but that's the feeling that I got immediately. Jalen even texted like, yo, he was like, why was Hype so conservative there? Extremely conservative, because there's a big difference between going up by 5, you know what I'm saying, add 4 more, you know, to that, you go up by 9. So now it's a 2-score game instead of a 1-score game. I'm sorry, 8, it'll be 12. You'll go up by 12 or 13 if they decide to go for 2. You go up by 12 points. That's a big difference between, you know, being up by 8 and being up by 12. So I just felt like they were like, well, if we at least get a field goal here, they got to, you know, score a touchdown and get the 2-point conversion. Also, another thought, and this is a great thought, Zachariah Branch. We got a Zachariah Branch sighting. Now, it's one of those things that's not going to jump off of the stat sheet by any stretch of the imagination, but he certainly looks a lot more comfortable in this offense because they use him in a myriad of ways than he did in USC's offense under Lincoln Riley the last 2 seasons. So we even saw him make the big catch on the 2-point conversion, got wide open. I believe he ran a whip route to get open on that play. But Zachariah Branch signing, that was cool to see. Also, Josh McCray. We've been trying to figure out at CFB Nation, is Josh McCray even in Athens, right? That was just like one of the things we had been talking about. So Josh McCray signing in this game as well. So I got a couple of questions for both of these programs, and I want you guys to answer this to the best of your ability. If you are Glenn Schumann, if you're Tim Banks, how are you feeling about this game overall? Because there was just a lot of big plays. And typically, like I said, you'll see this reminds me of a Big 12 game because the amount of big plays you saw in this game, that's not typical of a lot of SEC. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you're going to get them more than the NFL level, but the SEC at the collegiate level is as close you're going to get to the pros as it is. I don't care what anybody got to say about that. But it was just an explosion of offenses, and there was just times where I thought, you know what, especially after halftime, I was like, all right, the crowd isn't quite as loud as they thought they were. Because if I'd have told you the stats, just some of the opening stats that I told you from this, Aguilar will start 14-14. You'll score touchdowns on your first 3 drives. We win the game. That's what every Tennessee fan in the world is going to say. We win the game. right? But I just thought that they made two pivotal mistakes. The first mistake was when Josh Heupel and company didn't go get more points. It just did not make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me at all. I'm sorry, they did get 3 points, but why not go make it a 2-score game? 8 points, you can still get that in one possession. You go down there, they scored a touchdown, they probably won the game because then they got to drive down the field, find a way to get the ball back, and then get more points. And both times it had to be touchdowns instead of a touchdown plus 2-point conversion. So I think, to me, that was one of the biggest differences in the game. And then they did something that I hated to see. Kickers are like golfers. You leave a golfer the hell alone when he's golfing. The only time you really should see a golfer communicating is if it's at some fundraising event and they just having fun, or he's asking his caddy a question, or he is delegating his caddy to do something that needs to be done. That's the only time you're really going to see them communicate, right? You don't talk to them, though. As they approach a shot, you don't talk to them. Just leave them the heck alone. So why did we see Max Gilbert over there on the sidelines? First of all, my dog, shout out to Director Mike. He's like, what's going on with that kicker? He having palpitations over there? Said he was breathing all heavy. So that was the first thing that caught my attention because I was over here I'm watching the game, but then I run to my setup because I keep telling you I'm a TV right there. He's like, yo, the kicker breathing heavy as hell. And then we look, the coaches are talking to the kicker. Why are you talking to the kicker? Leave him alone, bruh. So you could just put 2 and 2 together and you knew he was going to miss the kick, bruh. Like, don't talk to him. Leave him alone. Don't say, I'm talking about not even words of aspiration, words of encouragement or none of that. Leave them a hell alone. Don't go over there and talk to a kicker. It's just like the announcer jinx, man. When the broadcasters all of a sudden, this kicker hasn't missed a field goal in 15 games. Yeah, they're going to miss this one because you're running your mouth. The old announcer jinx, right? But I just don't understand why coaches, you barely talk to a kicker during the week, right? Do you even have a relationship with your kicker? Out of all 105 players, how many players you got on your team? How many times you talk to your kicker as a head coach? So don't go over talking to them now and giving them words of encouragement and words of aspiration. I keep saying the word wrong, but words of encouragement. Let him get in his zone. Like some kickers, like I'm a Bills fan, so I know this. I never do this before. Like Prater always does something weird. He has this weird idiosyncrasy before he kick. Leave him alone. Don't go over there and talk to him. Leave him alone. Let them kick. So you guys, 43-yarder, which is supposed to be money, but y'all over there, the kid breathing heavy, y'all trying to calm him. Bro, let the kicker kick. Leave the kicker the hell alone. I've always said that. But great game. I think I don't like moral victories. You guys know that. I don't hand out moral victories on this show. But Tennessee will be there in the thick of things. That's what I did learn after this. While I don't give out no moral victories, they had opportunity to win this game. They should have been smoking cigars in Knoxville this past weekend, but now they got to wait a whole nother year to see if they can get that monkey off their back. So shout out to Kirby Smart. The poise that Gunnar Stockton showed on that final drive. So one could say, hey, Georgia's the best team in the SEC. To be difficult to combat that, right? You can always say, well, the defense isn't the same, this, that. But what were you saying prior to this weekend? Well, we don't know how good Gunnar Stockton is. Well, I think you find out that this kid is pretty good. How poised he was. This is what playing in Georgia is all about. This is what the skull sessions that Georgia have. This is what it's all about. Like, most coaches after a game like that, they're hysterical, happy, running around smiling. And when they talked to Kirby Smart after the game, peep what he said. They outplayed us. They should have won the game. But we just stuck to it. Did you hear the calmness in his voice? He's already thinking about stuff throughout the week that he's going to get on his players about from this film. He's already thinking about it. He's already moved on to the next opponent. And because when you have that expectation of winning, hey, we won. We found a way to win. But that team outplayed us. You can't look at this game and say that team didn't outplay us. But we're Georgia, and we found a way to win this game. So hats off to both teams. Hats off to both programs. I expect both of these teams to be in the thick of things. And do not be surprised if we see this game again in the SEC Championship. And I couldn't believe those words were ever uttered out of my mouth this upcoming season because of the doubt that I cast on the Tennessee program this upcoming season. This is one hell of a coaching job. Hats off to Josh Heupel and Joy Hazel and Tim Banks. Like I said, we don't hand out moral victories over here. It's just not what we do. College football is all about the pursuit of perfection. It's all about survive and advance. But there's also lessons that can be learned, so I think they learned some lessons that should bode well for them later on in the season. Got to move on. 10 basics going on with the defense. You guys gave up some points in Syracuse, gave up some points from Georgia. Figure it out. And like I said, you couldn't tell me a Mike Bobo offense would be this explosive. So hats off to both programs. Outstanding game. I think Stockton grew up tonight. I agree with that 100%. Stockton definitely grew up tonight. And to have the poise that he had on the road, that's going to bode well for him. That's something he's going to be able to tap back into. Like, hey, I was in Knoxville and they were shouting. I couldn't hear my thoughts. First game on the road, but we was able to get the job done. That'll bode well for him later in the season. So Tennessee can definitely go toe-to-toe with anybody in the SEC. Don't be mistaken about it. Their offense is explosive. I'm going to hate these words. Definitely more explosive than it was with Nico Iamaleava. And Joey Aguilar is ready for big time. So shout out to both teams. Let's go ahead and get into this next game I'm reacting to. And we're going to talk about this Texas A&M and Notre Dame game. And I got quite a few thoughts about this game. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to change a few things. Give me one moment. Boom, change that. And then we got one more thing to change. Boom, boom. There we go. All right, so let's talk about this Texas A&M. They defeated Notre Dame 41-40. They had everything in this game. They had a delay, a game delay in this game because of weather. You have the call that a lot of people said should have been called on fourth down. There's so much to gather from this game. There's so many layers that need to be, peeled from this game. So let's talk about it. So this game was in South Bend. Difficult to get a win. Notre Dame had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I think my biggest concern with Notre Dame, yes, they lost 2 games that they could have won. One in Coral Gables against a damn good Miami team, and then one in South Bend versus an Aggie team that I think right now, some people will get upset at me about this. Oklahoma's playing phenomenally. Georgia able to find a way to win, and Tennessee. I think the best team in the SEC, if you ask me right now, it's Texas A&M. I think they have more ways to beat you than a lot of other teams do. I think they can get it done defensively. They can maul you with the offensive line. Got 2 running backs that I like a lot. Awesome Ruben Owens. And then, the wide receivers. Concepcion and Carver are legit. I think they have more ways to beat you than anybody else. And then Colin Klein, knock, knock. Who's there? Everybody's going to be calling you after the season, bro. Because we see what your departure did in the Little Apple, and we see what your offense is doing right now in College Station, and it's phenomenal. So, outstanding game. Outstanding game. It's for as much billing as the Georgia-Tennessee game had, and it delivered on that billing. I very well said that, hey, they could have ended up in South Bend for this game. So, outstanding game. The atmosphere was phenomenal. And Marcel Reed, and while his completion percentage won't wow a lot of people, those people who are into that, yes, could he clean it up? Yes. Could that one interception he had come back? Yes. But that touchdown that he threw at the end of the game was just phenomenal. I know a lot of people, especially in South Bend, are going to say, man, they were holding. It should have been called back. Of course. But you guys had opportunities in this game. Tyler Buckner, don't you just feel for Tyler Buckner? That kid's been through it all, man. I mean, he has been through it all. Everything at the collegiate level, I feel like that kid been through. To think about, he went and joined Tommy Rees back in 2023 when Tommy Rees was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, and they were kind of figure out, hey, who was going to be their quarterback, whether it would be, Ty Simpson, Tyler Buckner, or Jalen Milroe. And a lot of us thought that, well, hey, we like the Milroe kid, but there's no way that Tyler Buckner go and join this Alabama team without being promised at least he'll get a legit opportunity to be the starting quarterback there. Didn't quite pan out. It just didn't. I believe he went to go play lacrosse, win a national championship. This just in, I didn't even know he was at Notre Dame because all we heard about was Minchie and Carr battling out to see who was going to be the starting quarterback for the Fighting Irish. And we entered this game, and the fact that this game came down to a bobble snap on a point after touchdown. It came down to maybe a holding that should have been called, and it should have been called that wasn't called. And it came down to your defense not being able to get stops. That's what it came down to. Notre Dame is 0-2. I heard one of the brightest minds in the sport as it pertains to media. Somebody that I respect a lot in Joel Klatt. Not too many people I respect more than him in this business that do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Than him. Also, Pate's high up on the list, probably the highest on the list. He do follow me on Twitter, so shout out to him for that. But he said that Notre Dame is still a top 25 team, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I don't. And I know they lost 2 games, 2 really good programs in Miami and Texas A&M, but college football has always been, what have you done for me lately, sport. College football has always been a sport that rewards winners. College football has always rewarded winners. You started out your season 0-2. Yes. You always schedule a difficult schedule. Yes. Shout out to you for not scheduling Circuit City University week in and week out, right? Like we see, Indiana and Penn State on their Circuit City tour this past fall. But you're 0-2. And the reason I say you shouldn't be in the top 25, because you got to look at it like this. You can't just look at it from, of course I say, it's a what have you done for me lately sport, but they also aren't in a conference. So what does this look like? Drone shot, right? What does the view from the blimp look like when we start to look further out, right? Are they mathematically eliminated from college football contention? Granted, strength of schedule does matter. And they had really great games, top-heavy games with playing Miami and Texas A&M. We'll see how both of the season go for them. But what does that look like far out? I'm not sure what's going on with Notre Dame defense. And, of course, year in, year out, they put a lot of production to the NFL. It's just what they do. It's kind of like Marcus Freeman is what he's known for. And, of course, Chris Ash is their defensive coordinator there. But I don't know. Texas A&M was moving the ball up and down the field on you guys. Like, they really were. And it's embarrassing. I thought C.J. Carr at spots was really killing this Texas A&M defense. I don't think Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price has had a 100-yard game yet. Granted, it's only 2 games, but you guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. 2 weeks. You guys had the opportunity to sit down and watch Texas A&M play last week. You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for them. When you have 2 weeks to prepare for a team in this sport, you should have the upper hand. And it seems like the only game they won't allow you to do that is the Georgia and Alabama game, because they both idle next week, just like they were last year. They're both idle this upcoming week, and then they play in week 5. But you guys had 2 weeks to prepare, right? Did you not see any of this coming? Did you not know that Chet Carver and Kevin Concepcion? I'm confused on that. Marcel Reed. A lot of us were saying, hey, how do you calibrate Texas A&M? Well, what's the maturation process look like for Marcel Reed? I'm there. I think other than Mateer, I mean, be careful with my verbiage. Yeah, other than Mateer, maybe Aguilar as well, will be in a discussion. He's been playing outstanding. And it's what he's going to give you, like, not just through the air. He's going to be able to run the rock as well. I think that's what he give you. And like I said, I love the pairing of Le'Veon Moss and Ruben Owens. We still haven't seen enough of Ruben Owens yet. But then, Mario Carver killed this team. I mean, he just felt like he was open every play. And that's embarrassing, especially when you think about Notre Dame. You think about what that defense is able to do. You certainly think about what this defense is able to do. And the fact that, Carver was able to literally, pun intended, carve up the defense the way he carved up the defense, it's just nasty, bro. It really is. 207 yards on 7 catches, Notre Dame? Are you serious? Did you not have 2 weeks to prepare for this team? And y'all allowed Carver to get 207 yards on 7 receptions and a tutty? He killed y'all, bro. That is bad. No, Notre Dame should not be a top 25 team. Are they one of the most prestigious teams in the sport? Yes. 100%. Absolutely. Is college football better when Notre Dame is better? Yes. 100%. Absolutely. Do they deserve to be in the top 25? No. They don't. They do not deserve to be in the top 25, because how many other 0-2 teams played top teams and almost had a chance to win? Right? If you want to look at it like that, they don't deserve to be in the top 25. You guys aren't making much sense with that, to be completely honest with you. But yes, great game, great coach game. Came down to the wire. I mean, looked like Notre Dame had just done enough, and you didn't know at the time that Tyler Buckner bobbled the snap. That hey, yeah, you think of it in a way like, well, Texas A&M is able to drive down the field. You be like, well, no, this is the drive. Notre Dame defense at home. It's going to come to fruition. They're going to get a stop. Did they have the refs help? Yes. But for everybody who's sitting there blaming the refs, do what you're supposed to do. As Bill Belichick would say, do your job. Do your job. Close this game out. Shout out to my dog, Squint 10 Toes, man. Squint 10 Toes is a 1%er, and under Pate's chat, and I just saw it this week. I didn't even know he said it. But this is how you know he a 1%er. Yeah, he said if you, I forgot how Pate worded it. He said if you had a gun in your head right now, who you picking to win the SEC? He said Texas A&M. And for my estimation, Texas A&M has played better than everybody else in the SEC. Them in Oklahoma, I think you can say, but Georgia's also in that discussion as well. But I like a lot what I'm seeing in Texas A&M. Can they continue it? Can they continue to be consistent and do what they need to do? And the thing that I like most about Texas A&M, they have a myriad of ways to beat you. They can beat you running the ball. That's what the running quarterback included in the running game as well. They can beat you passing the ball. This team is dangerous, very dangerous. Look out for Texas A&M. I like Texas A&M an awful lot. Let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, Governor Ruling. Hold this L. You guys ready for this rendition of Hold This L? We got a lot to talk about. And the first group of people who are going to be holding the L this episode is none other. Who getting that first hold this L? Who getting the first L of the week? Let's go down to my notes. AP poll. AP poll, you can go ahead and hold this L. And you guys can hold an L for a myriad of reasons. Now, let's not even get started with last week's fiasco at Haley Sawyer bumping Florida up 2 spots. After losing to USF, and USF wasn't even in the top 25, we're not gonna, even talk about that, right? But now, you guys got Notre Dame sitting in the top 25 at 0-2, and that's the first time that's happened since the year before, 1989. 1988 with Michigan, the first time that has happened. The AP poll is supposed to be the prestigious poll in college football, and the back-to-back weeks, you guys are looking stupid. You guys are looking ridiculous. I'm telling you, the greatest clown show, Ringling, Burroughs, Barman, and Bailey, the AP poll has all of it, right? And USF, yeah, they were annihilated by Miami this past weekend. Do have, 2 top 25 victories, but y'all left them out, but Notre Dame is still in. I thought we were rewarded winning at the collegiate level. Do we not? That's how it's supposed to be. That's 100% how it's supposed to be. And on that note, hold up. Because we've said a lot, but I bring some receipts. Let's bring out the first receipt. So shout out to Derek Henrio. Hopefully I said your name right, brother. Hey, the world of college football has changed. It's about accountability now, and we, the public, we, the media, we, everybody will hold you accountable. So Ian Kress, one of the voters on the poll, he said, would you please explain why you have Vandy unranked, South Carolina ranked 23rd after Vandy won 31-7 on the road? Additionally, please explain why you have 1 and 2 Clemson ranked and Georgia Tech unranked. You need to have your vote taken away for this. I like the verbiage. I like the vernacular. This is college football, and by golly, college football is the greatest sport on earth. And CFB Nation is the greatest creators on earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. It's about accountability. We can't let the AP poll get away with what they got away with last week. So what do you think everybody did when the AP poll come out? Okay, cool. We just want to see all y'all votes. We don't want to see the cumulative vote because it no longer matters. Yes, you guys got a cumulative vote. Yeah, we see you got 25. You guys got Notre Dame in the top 25. Let's put that to the side. Let's see everybody voting on this. We want to see everybody voting. Shout out to Derico Henrio. Yes, he asked a great question. So what do you guys think the response was to this question? Oh, yeah, we got more receipts. Let's pull that one up, pull this one down. So Ian Kress said, I screwed up, and I own that. Accountability. I love it. Integrity. All of those good words, right? Didn't have time in the morning. Didn't have time in the morning to double check the ballot I put together Saturday night. Initially, I didn't drop South Carolina because of the Sellers injury. Lame excuse, but I thought I had Georgia Tech ranked. Vernacular? Verbiage? Say what you mean and mean what you say, my dog. I screwed up and I own that. Cool. Thank you. We appreciate it, brother. That's again. Didn't have time in the morning to double check the ballot I had put together Saturday night. Bro, Do you know the anxiety I have when I'm submitting a ballot? Hey, did I remember this team? I told myself this team. Like, I take time before I even submit it. I think about it. Vandy's a top 25 team. They need to be up there. How high am I putting Texas A&M? Because, yes, I believe in Texas A&M. I'm already thinking about it before I even submit my ballot. And he says, initially it didn't drop South Carolina because the Sellers injury. Lame excuse, but I thought I had Georgia Tech ranked. Before we even get to the Georgia Tech part, South Carolina because of Sellers injury. Did you not see their other games? Did you not? Are you passionate about this sport or not? Were you impressed with that Virginia Tech victory? I was not. I was impressed with Sellers. I was impressed with Nick Harper. But was I impressed with them as a team? No. Virginia Tech defensive line was way smaller, but they were able to create a lot of pressure. Was not impressed with them with the South Carolina State game. So this game is going to be a great measuring stick to see where they're really at. Got embarrassed in this game. Do they deserve to be in the top 25? As much as I love South Carolina, it was outstanding to see Stan Storm and Enter Sandman in the same game, but they are not a top 25 team. How do you allow this to happen, brother? Cool. Let's get to the last one. But I thought I had Georgia Tech ranked. You didn't double check, triple check, quadruple check. That's crazy. Let's go back to the first one again. Hold up. Let me bring that one back. And he has a 1-2 Clemson ranked. Thought he had Georgia Tech ranked. Gave South Carolina the benefit of the doubt. And gave Clemson, who's 1-2, the benefit of the doubt. That's crazy. Imagine that. Cool. We got other news with the AP poll. Oh, by the way. Let's pull the other one up. Brandon Green has South Carolina 10 and Vandy unranked. So Dorico Henrio, who been holding everybody accountable, he said he has a reasoning for why she did that. She said she made a mistake through SC won 31-7. When I am on the road, right? Because I get it, because a lot of these people are traveling, they're in press boxes, whatever. Do you guys listen to music or do you just skim through it? Do you care about college football or do you just do it because it's a job? Whether I'm getting paid for this or not, it makes no difference to me because I'm going to watch it regardless. And I'm going to want to talk about it regardless. Whether it's here to you great fans who are the 1%ers or whether it's to people in the barbershop, bro, I'm going to want to talk about this sport. I'm going to always want to talk about this sport. So she made a mistake and thought South Carolina won 31-7. These are AP voters. Bro, Dorico Henrio, bro. You was real stern with Ian Chris. But with the broad, Brianna Green, you ain't real stern, dog. What happened? Start out fast, end up wheezing in the back. That's not an excuse, bro. You thought South Carolina won 31-7? You know what's going on all day with me when it's college football season? I got 4 college football group chats, and they all going crazy. I got 4 of them. Everybody's talking college football with me. And then my dad, who don't watch it much, he'll call me and be like, hey, son, what's the games to watch today? Who should I be watching? What good quarterback play should I? That's what happens. So how do you not know that Vandy beat South Carolina? Even if I'm on the road, I'm contacting people in that games. I know Nino's at Boston College. Hey, what happened today? Boom. I know Boomer was watching the Oklahoma game. What happened? What stood out? What should I be looking for when I go look at film? How do you not know? I travel. Moon travels. Some weeks Moon go to 4 games. He still know everything that's going on. Because if he don't, our website gonna look like trash. So he gonna put misinformation on the website. That's not gonna happen. This isn't an excuse, dog. Hey, people, hold this L for a myriad of reasons. You guys gotta hold this L. This is embarrassing, bro. And it's in case you don't know who I have in the background, that's Haley Sawyer, who's, I think, Twitter is protected. And also, if you notice on the most recent drink, she took her Twitter, what is it called, handle, away from that sheet. AP poll, I just don't get it. You guys are the prestigious AP poll. It is an honor to be able to vote on this. Every week, all media is waiting for it. Whether we are excited to see it or ready to rip it apart. Either way, we're all ready to react to it. It's great content. It makes outstanding content. But AP poll, hold this L. Congratulations, buddy. You are the laughing stock of the sport. Your punishment, every college football media personality and every comedian gets to roast you all off season long. Good luck. It's a roasting session. We're going to have an AP poll roasting session. I'm going to try to make this thing happen. And everybody needs to come to the podium virtually and speak their piece on the AP poll. AP poll, hold this L. Next up, Marcus Freeman. Brother, you had national title berth a season ago. Congratulations, brother. National title, you were in the national championship a season ago. Had extra time to prepare because you were idle in week 2. Texas A&M came to South Bend. And you still couldn't find a way. Your defense is supposed to be your calling card, but Marcel Reed carved you up. They had success on the ground. Carver gave you guys 200. He gave you 2 bills and 7 cents. Gave you 2 bills. That's crazy. Notre Dame, hold this L. Next up. Now, everybody who has something to do with the 2023 quarterback class, that's what I want you to do. Now, everybody from that, put an elbow in both hands, just like this. And when I say LL, you say Cool J. LL. Alrighty. So everybody who had anything to do with any type of rankings, whether it was Rivals, On 3, 247 Sports, I don't care. The composite rankings, whatever you have, you all got to hold this L. You just got to hold this L. I don't know what happened with that class. We just got to hold L's. Archman and pedestrian. I've been taking up for him. You've been taking up for him. He's looked pedestrian, so we're going to say pedestrian. Nico Amalivia, pedestrian. Malachi Nelson, pedestrian. Avery Johnson, good last year. Flashes the year before when he played in mop-up duty. Pedestrian. Jaden Rashada. I'm sorry, brother. Pedestrian. Ricky Collins. I'm also sorry, brother. Pedestrian. Everybody who had something to do with that class, go ahead and put your L's up. Both hands. LL. So everybody who ranked the 2023 quarterback class, hold this L. And I got to hold the L too. Because I forgot who I was hyping up. Yeah, I was hyping up Nico. Yeah, I'm a leaver. So yeah, Governor going to hold the L too. So, crazy. Hold this L. UCLA, you step up. Got destroyed at home in front of, you guys could have played that game at a recreation center. You guys could have played that game at a youth football field. And the Pee Wee game up the street probably had more people at it than you had at your stadium. And you got embarrassed. So now, for your punishment for getting embarrassed like that at home, is you guys need to watch the Floyd Mayweather gift where he's handing out L's on repeat until you actually remember what it's like to win, what it's like to be a Bruin. They need somebody that can build culture there. UCLA, hold this L. Deshaun Foster, I hate to do this to you, my brother. I wanted you to be so successful there. Something just felt off. Even going back to the 2024 Big Ten Media Days when you got to the stage, I understand nerves. I understand anxiety. Well, I don't, actually. But I get it, right? And I kept trying to make excuses for you. I talked UCLA up this offseason. You guys making me look bad. UCLA hold this L, bro. Deshaun Foster, you hold this L too, bro. But happy trails. Whatever you decide to do next, brother, we'll be rooting for you. It's just heartbreaking. Virginia Tech, stand up. I'm a credentialed member of the media with Virginia Tech. And after this hold this L segment, I probably won't be. Saturday night in Blacksburg. Night games in Blacksburg are phenomenal. If you've ever gotten an opportunity to do it or you haven't, please go do it. It should be on your bucket list. For Enter Sandman, something about the night game there. The crowd is louder. The stadium is shaking even more than it normally shakes. And you're excited. And you let your little homies from Richmond come into your house and throw a party. Right? Richmond. Let them come into Blacksburg and have a party in your city. It's disrespectful. Nah. You guys have lost your lunch pail. That lunch pail is supposed to mean so much. Has so much rich tradition, pageantry, history for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Who you guys gonna get a replacement as coach? And I saw somebody mention Shane Beamer. Shane Beamer ain't going there. They don't got a bag big enough. They ain't a Brinks truck in the state of Virginia big enough to give Shane Beamer the money that he would want to go back there and fix that terrible program. Yes, you guys are a terrible program. You want to take my credential, take it. I don't care. Terrible program. It's an embarrassment. Virginia Tech hold this L. It's an absolute embarrassment to the state, to that city. They deserve that. The fans deserve better. The players deserve better. Do y'all not care about this sport? To put out the showing that you guys put out Saturday night. And matter of fact, for my money, that performance was worse than the UCLA versus New Mexico performance. I already know the culture is bad there. I thought that the culture and the history and the tradition at Virginia Tech was better than that, man. And that performance was piss poor, bro. It really was. Virginia Tech, hold this L, Brent Pye. Dude, it's been a pleasure, man. Being somebody in this media, you get an opportunity to meet these people, man. That dude stand up, bro. Stand up. Never hesitated when you asked him a question. Never. Will sit there, look you in the eye, answer it, man to man, comical. And then after you ask him questions, guess what he would do? If he find you walking around, he'd say, hey, thank you. Him and his team would say, hey, thank you for those questions. You got our players comfortable. They really appreciated that. Always do it. Right? Stand-up dude, bro. He really is. And he don't have a job because he's an outstanding defensive coordinator. So he'll find a job. He'll find his way. It's just heartbreaking that it didn't work there. It really is. So I can't, because of the man he is, I can't tell him to hold this L. But the program, I can tell him hold this L. Virginia Tech, hold this L. Clean house. AD needs to be gone. Find you a general manager. Find you somebody that care about the program. And do not do what UCLA did. Mike Vick, what you doing at Norfolk State is amazing. Do not offer him the job. There needs to be somebody else there before you guys offer Michael Vick the job. So I don't know who you guys are going to get. I'll suggest somebody like, Summerall. And the job that he's doing at Tulane right now, and the job that he did at Troy during his tenure there, he wins a lot. So yes, he's going to have a Power 4 job from now. But why would he want to go to either one of you programs when y'all not going to back the Brink truck up? So I don't know. And then Clemson, y'all can hold this L for a myriad of reasons too. Lost to Georgia Tech on a 55-yard field goal at the buzzer. Hey, Klubnik, what happened to you, bro? My boy D now said this, and hopefully he doesn't mind me sharing this. He's like, yo, he's losing millions right now. You don't even think about it, but he is. Because coming into the season, they were saying, okay, there's some things in his skill set we can ignore because he's a winner. So you think he comes out here, has a good season, prove that he belongs in Heisman contention, and the two guys that I had, as my Heisman favorites before the season started, don't even belong anywhere in the conversation. One of them is Garrett Nussmeier. Their offense is pedestrian. And I saw Brian Kelly get upset because that was the first question. He wants people to celebrate winning. Yes, they should, but celebrate winning. But also, I believe your media is intelligent enough to know that this won't work versus everybody. You guys beat Florida by 10 points, and DJ Lagway gave the ball 5 times. DJ Lagway, you also hold this L, bro. You weren't even on the notes. Yeah, DJ Lagway, you can hold the L too, bro. Incredible. But Clemson, back to Clemson. What's going on? What's going on with this offense? Dabo Swinney, you got answers for that? What grade would you give your offense? Since you want to give other teams grades, what grade would you give your offense? What grade would you give your defense? 1 and 2 to start the season, bro. Teams are getting better in the ACC. Newsflash. Georgia Tech is getting better in the ACC. Miami's getting better in the ACC. Louisville is getting better in the ACC. What's going on? Huh? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Dabo, your punishment. You are required to stand at a podium in front of everybody and recite every single transfer portal player out loud since his existence. And maybe you have to figure out, hey, if there's a player or two you could have added to your team. This year, I looked at your team. I looked at your return in production. And I know people deem that as a loaded stat. It isn't a loaded stat. And I will argue that with anybody. It's a fantastic stat because it tells me your starting point. It tells me where you at and are you developing players. You want to look at it for team developing players. Well, how many players are they returning? Because if you're returning production, then that means, hey, especially like a school like Clemson, that means you got them as a freshman and you're growing them up. That's what you're supposed to do. That is transformational coaching. A lot of people want transactional coaching. And that's why I've always given Dabo Swinney the benefit of the doubt because he's a transformational coach, even starting the season 1 and 2. But Dabo Swinney, hold this L. Clemson, hold this L. Garrett Riley, hold this L. K. Klubnik, hold this L. Everybody, hold this L. It's embarrassing, bro. So embarrassing. All right, let's move on to the next segment. My bad, I got a little animated there. My apologies. All righty. So we're going to talk about the AP poll. I've already said a lot of what I have to say about the AP poll already. So we're not going to spend too much time on this. Just going to give you guys a top 25. Also, we got a graphic this week of what the playoff bracket will look like. I was probably more interested in that than anything. But in case you haven't seen the AP top 25, I'll go ahead and read it off for you real quick. We got Ohio State at 1, Penn State 2, LSU 3, Miami 4, Georgia 5, Oregon 6, Florida State 7, Texas 8, Illinois 9, Texas A&M 10, Oklahoma 11, Iowa State 12, Ole Miss 13. Great win by Ole Miss this past weekend, too. Alabama 14, Tennessee 15, Utah 16, Texas Tech 17, Georgia Tech 18, Indiana 19, Michigan 20, Auburn 21, Missouri 22. This is bad, bro. This is bad. It's bad. I'm trying not to get upset while I'm talking about it because I want to give everybody, time to really hear who this AP poll is. But it's just bad, bro. I'll read it for y'all one more time. But Ohio State 1, Penn State 2, LSU 3, Miami 4, Georgia 5, Oregon 6, Florida State 7, Texas is 8, Illinois 9, Texas A&M 10, Oklahoma 11, Iowa State 12, Ole Miss 13, Alabama 14, Tennessee 15, Utah 16, Texas Tech is 17, Georgia Tech is 18, Indiana 19, Vandy 20, Michigan 21, Auburn 22, Missouri 23, Notre Dame 24, USC, who deserves to be in the top 25, it's at 25. But let's look at the playoff poll that they came up with based on what we've seen. Ohio State will be the number 1 overall seed. Penn State follows them. LSU, I ain't worried about LSU. They're 3-0, right? Right, 2 of those games, really, really big wins, great victories for Brian Kelly in that program. I'm a little bit worried about them offensively. Hopefully, it figures itself out, right? But yeah, LSU is 3 and then Miami. Those would be the top 4 seeds, the seeds who get a bye. All right, coming in at number 5, Georgia versus 12 South Florida. I don't think that would be a bad game at all. I think this bracket right here gives you some really good games. Illinois versus Texas, the 8-9 matchup. Not mad at it at all. There's a lot of people sleeping on Illinois. Continue to sleep on Illinois. They'll just continue to win ball games. Brett Bielema is building an outstanding program there. And in Texas, I know a lot of the story right now is Arch Manning, but is it all of his fault? Like Steve Sarkisian, that offense hasn't looked as crisp as it has in the past. And yes, I think it's more Arch Manning's fault than Steve Sarkisian, but he has to play a role. He has to find a way to get him comfortable, man, because, you're about to get into core SEC play. He plays that way, they will lose games. I promise you, and in bunches. Oregon versus Iowa State, I think that's a grand game. I think a lot of people, neutral site, probably have Oregon favored by a lot. I wouldn't have Oregon favored by a lot. I tell you, they'd be closer than advertised. And then Texas A&M versus Florida State. I think this bracket works out well. Like, let's go ahead and complete it. I got Georgia beating South Florida, Georgia, Miami. Carson Beck gets to go up against Georgia. That'll be really good. I'm sorry, these are all home games. I'm sorry. So we got Illinois versus Texas. Could Illinois march into Texas and get a win? Right now, if I'm just going by both teams playing, I will have Illinois even at Texas. Iowa State versus Oregon. In Oregon, you got to favor Oregon and Texas A&M and Florida State. I don't think there's too many teams I'm picking over Texas A&M. And then Texas A&M and Penn State, it'll end up having some really good games. So I wouldn't be mad if this ended up being a college football playoff poll. But I figured this is just the graphic that you all would want to see. This first episode of the week flew by. I didn't know I was doing Hold This L. I looked down, we were already at an hour, So, fun episode as always. Don't forget, you guys can catch us live tonight on Overreaction Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm also going to be on Herb FM. Let me find the time slot. Let me open my email. Was invited to be on their show today, so we're going to talk more college football. So, I'll be live 3 times a day. I will, if you follow me. My bad, I got a lot in my inbox right now. But if you guys follow me on Twitter, at @Leverett_KT, you can keep up with everything I got going on. So I will be live 2 more times a day on Overreaction Monday, as I'm live every Monday. D Now and Nino be on the show tonight. So actually we already know what we're talking about. Just got to put it in doc format. And got to get the thumbnail done and all of that other stuff done. But it'll be a fun show. I'm trying to figure out, just so you guys know, exactly what time I'm going on the Heard FM show. Let's see here. I might gotta search it because I get a lot of emails. It's crazy. I just got the email a few days ago and I can't find it. Let me search it in my inbox. So I go on at 9:05 tonight. So right after Overreaction Monday, I already told them I got a jet and then prepared to talk college football with them. So that'll be fun. I see my dogs every year at ACC Media Days. They always show love to CFB Nation. We always show love to them, man. So it'll be dope talking college football with them. And I feel like we're starting to build our brand, and that's thanks to you guys. You all are coming in here. You're watching the shows. You guys are being interactive. And I always tell the people on YouTube and Twitter, it depends what day it is. People are being more active on other platforms. You just never know. But thank you guys. I truly appreciate it. Like I said, our brand is growing. This is just the beginning. I'm telling you. This is the easiest time to talk college football for me. Sometimes it's too easy, and I get annoyed with that because it's too much to talk about. I think I have more fun when I'm setting up my shows in the off season, and it's like middle of May, and there ain't much to talk about. And you got to create you a whole hour, left show, via your 4 or 5 segments, and that I think I have the most fun doing this. Of course, I love college football, so I love this time of the year. But I'm just saying, it's a certain grind that you appreciate, man. That's I always like to say. There are no more victories in the sport that survive in the fans. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, I'll see you guys tonight because y'all gonna be watching at the CFB Nation on Twitter and on YouTube. You guys gonna be watching on Reaction Monday, but also catch me on Herd FM Radio. And I'll be live with their show. They have a lot of great guests today. I'll actually go over the list of guests that they have. Love the way that they segment their show. They're live for like almost 2 hours, dog. And then they always invite people on. So they're going to be recapping the Towson and Maryland game. And they'll get a report with College Park with Adam and Chris. So I think those are reporters from that report from Maryland. They got former Raven Daniel Wilcox. He's recapping the Browns and the Ravens. So they got people that are dudes. They got McIntyre, sideline reporter for Washington State. Also got Spencer McLaughlin from Locked On Ducks. Like, they got some people in here. So it's an honor to be, they respect what we're doing over here. It's an honor for them to invite me on their show. And I needed to do the same thing. I'm coming up with, I got to talk to Moon. I'm coming up with the Governor Guest Week. And every week we'll have a guest on the show. Every day we'll have a guest on the show. I don't know if they want to be on the entire hour. Of course, other than Moon, we don't really consider Moon a guest on here because he's always on the show every so often. But yeah, you all take care, man. Enjoy your day. Laugh, have fun, and then make sure you guys are with us for Overreaction Monday tonight, 8 p.m. And then catch me over at Herd FM. Like I said, they got a lot of dope people on the show tonight, so it's an honor. I appreciate them. You all take care. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive minds. They have